I don't want to eat gluten, I don't want to eat soy, I don't want to have any mock meats, I don't want to have any protein powders, and I want to get it all from whole foods. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be eating all lentils and you're still not going to get there, and you're going to be farting all the time. Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben. I'm one of the coaches here at Vegan Proteins Online Coaching, and today I'm going to be talking to you about protein resistance. No, this isn't anabolic resistance. This isn't the idea that as we get older, our bodies become more resistant to the protein intake, meaning that we actually require higher amounts of protein to get the same effect. That is an actual thing, but today I'm going to be talking about protein resistance in the sense that there are certain types and forms of protein that for some reason I find a lot of individuals are hesitant or resistant towards including in their diets, and I want to break down some myths and misconceptions about these specific protein containing products. The first common one that I want to start with, as you may have seen from the thumbnail of this video, is soy and soy foods. I'll start with speaking to the men out there. So there is a common myth that you are going to become more feminized, you're going to grow boobs, you're going to become a soy boy, whatever even that means, by eating a lot of soy products. Now, the evidence just simply does not bear this out. There is no strong evidence that in normal quantities consuming soy protein is going to have any meaningful effect on hormones. Estrogen is one that people often talk about because soy contains compounds known as phytoestrogens, which actually have anti-cancer benefits or properties, I should say, as opposed to some of the rhetoric you hear out there that actually suggests that, oh, eating soy, eating these phytoestrogens will cause cancer, specifically breast cancer in females. That's another myth that I've seen propagated many times, whereas actually these phytoestrogens can have anti-cancer effects. So soy is not going to affect you either way, men or women out there, and it is a super nutritious source of protein. It comes in many forms. You can get tofu, tempeh, edamame, textured vegetable protein, soy curls, which is kind of another form of textured vegetable protein. You can do an isolated protein powder. Now, while we're on the topic of processing, this is kind of another area that I feel people are overly restrictive when it comes to their own diets. One of the reasons that I wanted to make this video is because it's something that I see very often in new clients coming to me saying, I want to hit my protein intake, but I don't want to eat gluten, I don't want to eat soy, I don't want to have any mock meats, I don't want to have any protein powders, and I want to get it all from whole foods. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be eating essentially all lentils, and you're still not going to get there, and you're going to be farting all the time. There's a couple issues with this. One is that most people have fat loss goals, which means that they need to keep their protein intake at a certain amount. I would say 0.7 grams per pound of body weight is usually a good estimate. You could say of lean body weight if you wanted to get more specific. And because fat loss is their goal, that means that calories are inherently going to need to be restricted. So if you're trying to get all of your protein from whole food sources, most vegan whole food sources have carbohydrates and fats that are coming along with the protein. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means in a calorie restricted state, you're going to have a lot less flexibility. You might have to have a lot more legumes. Legumes have fiber, and people don't often do well with a ton of beans, digesting those as their main protein source, not to mention that they're not as rich in protein as they are even in carbohydrates. Something like tofu or tempeh, as nutritious as they are, they have a lot of fats that come alongside with them. So incorporating something like a protein powder or a seitan, which leads into the gluten topic, could be beneficial. Let me touch on the gluten thing while we're here. A lot of people will say, oh, I'm sensitive to gluten, I can't have gluten, I'm gluten intolerant. Now there's celiac disease, where your body literally has a physiological reaction to the gluten. Very much so not good. However, there's a lot of people who say that they have gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity. They've done research on this where they will give people who identify with this, they'll bring them into a study, they'll split them into two groups, and then they will give one group the placebo, so they think they're getting gluten, and the other will actually get the gluten. Basically, people who were given the placebo ended up having as much symptoms as people who got the actual thing, like breaking out in hives and rashes. It really just shows the power of the mind more than anything. And oftentimes when people say like, oh, I can't have gluten because it always makes me feel sick, you ask them what they're eating, they're like, every time I eat pizza, and you're like, how do you know it's the gluten in the bread and not like the acidity of the tomato sauce or the super high fat content of the cheese, or just the fact that it's a ton of calories coming in at once and a bunch of oil and stuff you're not used to, and you're probably not digesting it well. If it's a a non-vegan pizza and it's a lot of dairy, you know, a lot of people are lactose intolerant. So there's so many different reasons why oftentimes it doesn't hold up. Now, of course, there's cases where maybe you are somebody who doesn't do well with gluten. That's fine. It's not a necessity. But something like a seitan, which is a mock meat made from vital wheat gluten, which is, as I've talked about in previous videos, it's essentially they wash away the starch from the wheat, and you're left with this kind of gluten flour that is very like chewy in texture, very stretchy, and it's essentially pure protein. So you can go and buy it at the store, and it probably has a couple different ingredients, or you can make it at home. So something like a protein powder can also be very useful in hitting your protein goals when calories are restricted. You can just throw it in throw it in your oatmeal, throw it in your shake. Another one of these products where people will say, oh, I don't want to because it's ultra processed or it's too processed. The thing is, everyone has a different idea of what processing actually means. Like technically cutting something up is processing it. So if I take a banana and I cut it up, now it's processed. Is anyone going to say that a cut up banana is something that's harmful to your health? So I think it all comes down to what is your definition and your comfort level when it comes to the processing of foods. Just because a food has more ingredients, okay, we can use as a general heuristic and say maybe to a certain extent at extreme levels, if it has like 100 ingredients, that's probably not the best thing. And if it has a single ingredient, yeah, it's probably close to its whole unrefined food. But if the vast majority of your diet is coming from whole foods, let's say 80% whole foods, 20% whatever else, you are ticking those boxes. We can't necessarily say that somebody who is 100% whole foods is healthier than somebody who is 80% and has 20% of this other stuff. If that 80% is tons of fruits and vegetables and micronutrient rich sources, just the evidence that we have from nutritional epidemiology just does not bear that out. So at the end of the day, if you are struggling to hit your protein goals, to hit your calorie goals, because you are trying to eat them all from whole foods, or you're cutting out food groups unnecessarily, just know that if the base of your diet is mostly nutritious, there is absolutely no problem with including some of these foods that maybe you have thought of in the past as being unhealthy because they have one of these buzzwords like soy or gluten, or they're processed because they're a protein powder or a mock meat. You don't need to get all of your protein from these things, but they can be helpful tools, and they're not something to be demonized or to be avoided unnecessarily. So I hope that this maybe clears some things up, some myths and misconceptions that you may have had about protein coming into this video. If you are looking for some support on your journey, if you are struggling with weight loss, muscle gain, that's what we do at Vegan Proteins. It's our bread and butter. We have one-on-one online coaching spots available with myself or with one of the other lovely coaches here at Vegan Proteins. If you're interested in connecting with us and potentially looking to get someone in your corner to help you on this journey, whether it be trying to hit your protein intake, working towards your athletic goals, that's what we do. So you can hit the contact button on the Vegan Proteins website. You can head over to veganproteins.com/personal training. You can go check out all the other cool services and things that we have to offer over there. We have tons of free content available here on the YouTube channel. So check out some other videos. I'm sure there will be one posted on one of these sides. Feel free to connect with us on social media at Vegan Proteins, at Muscles by Brussels, and myself at Ben A. Mitchell. Do all the typical social media things. Leave a like, a comment. What do you want to see next from us? What do you want to see more of? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and we'll catch you in the next one.